Well, hello there. I am Shanice the Potato, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now, you see, today's videos can be a little different, as I want to do it on something that I've been quite passionate about, but never really talked about on the channel before, and that is lasers. You see, after my sentient AI Harold died under mysterious circumstances, I stopped working in artificial intelligence, and this left me pondering over what I would work in next. Despite the fact of me being incredibly awesome, of course, I still needed some sort of scientific interest, and that's when I discovered lasers. Now, after many past attempts at making a viable laser, this time I have finally made my best model yet. And I want to share it with you guys, which is why I'm making this video today. So with all that said, I think it's time to move on to the intro. Alright, so before I get into the laser itself, first I'd like to go over what actually makes it work. And that's what I'm going to explain. What I built here is essentially a nitrogen laser, or more specifically a TEA nitrogen laser. And the reason it's called that is because instead of using pure 99% nitrogen to power the laser, it instead uses just regular air, which is already 78% nitrogen, so it works regardless. You see, inside of the laser diode here, there's two electrodes. Those electrodes pass electrons between each other, ionizing the air in between them, or more specifically the nitrogen, which causes photons to be emitted. Those photons are focused by the various lenses at specific distances in the laser, and that's what becomes the beam itself of the laser. And that's the gist of it. Now, another thing is that inside of the diode itself is mirrors, a bunch of mirrors encasing it. And those mirrors reflect photons, causing an amplification process to happen as the photons bounce back and forth. And any spare photons that are emitted the wrong way instead of the output end of the diode will get reflected back and brought back to the output line, essentially capturing any lost light in the process as well. Alright, now this is all fun and all, but when I say the word laser, it usually sets off a lot of alarm bells in people's heads. So that begs the question, how strong actually is the laser that I built? And that's what I'm going to explain. Now, I unfortunately don't have the proper tools to determine my laser's output, but I do have photoresistors and math. Now, photoresistors are essentially little resistors that when light hits them, they will reduce their resistance. When less light present, the more the resistance. The more light present, the less resistance. And you can measure that and factor in the voltage and amperage to conclude the other parts of the equation I have set up here. And through that process, I determined my laser's output to be 7.14 milliwatts, which is essentially close to double the output of your usual laser pointer that you would see in everyday use, which isn't necessarily harmful, but could cause eye damage if you look directly into the beam, so definitely use with caution. Now, I could go more into the actual math that I use to determine my laser output without having a proper meter to measure it, but since math is boring, I think it's time we go into the actual laser itself. So anyway, with all that said, I gathered my things and began assembling the laser. The laser itself was relatively easy to assemble as I had done this process many times before, and with my new power source that I got for Christmas, powering it would be a hell of a lot easier. And after a decent amount of time and quite a bit of chloroform, I eventually got the laser fully put together, including the lenses which I stole from my microscope and a bunch of trash I found in my closet. And with that, the laser was finally ready to test. Alright, so I just activated the power source to run the laser. The laser itself isn't running yet, obviously, but it is ready to run. So this is going to go for my test fit. And there we go. And see, it actually works. Now, the reason I'm filming in a dark room like this is so that you can, well, see the beam better. And also, it just looks cooler on the camera as well. Now, while the focus on this laser is definitely the best that I've gotten, it definitely isn't perfect. As you can see, when I back away from the laser itself, you can see the point actually get wider. And that's because the beam isn't perfectly focused as it should be in an actual laser, but unfortunately, I don't have the means to do that when I'm using lenses from a microscope, which isn't meant for it, obviously. But regardless of this, this is still a really fun project, and the laser is definitely very fun to play with. Cool. So there you have my laser. I hope you liked it, I guess. Now, I definitely had a very fun time making this laser, even though it did actually break a couple times while I was testing with it, and I had to break it open and fix it about 3 extra times before I got it to work properly. But besides that, I had a good time, and I personally like playing around with lasers, and it's always been something I've been interested in. So anyway, overall, this was a pretty chill, quick video, but that's kind of really what I wanted. And if you guys like seeing me do stuff with lasers, then definitely like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below as well to let me know if you want to see more videos like this. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. I'm Shane Esposito. Remember to like and subscribe, and that's pretty much it.